Somewhere in a life that does not exist, you said yes, you accepted the job, you boarded the plane, you married that person, you made the phone call you were too afraid to make in this life. And because you did, everything after it changed. That version of you woke up this morning in a room you have never seen. They have friends you will never meet, memories you will never make, and scars your body will never carry. They know the answer to questions that still visit you at night. What if I had stayed? What if I had left? What if I had been braver when it mattered? Maybe they are happier than you. Maybe they are miserable. You will never know. But sometimes, usually when your actual life becomes difficult, you miss them, which is strange because they were never born. You are grieving a person who never existed, and that person is you. We like to imagine that a human life is made from the things that happen, the school you attended, the person you loved, the work you chose, the city where you stayed long enough to begin calling it home. But a life is also made from everything that did not happen. The train you missed, the application you never submitted, the friendship you allowed to die from two people repeatedly saying, "We should meet soon." Every life is built from decisions, and every decision is surrounded by ghosts. That is the part nobody mentions when they tell you that choice is freedom. But freedom has a body count. When you choose one road, you do not simply gain a destination. You abandon every place the other roads might have taken you. Choose one career and an entire professional identity begins forming around you. Your habits change, your vocabulary changes, your friends change. 10 years later, even your face may carry the evidence. Choose another career, and a different person gets constructed from the same raw material. The decision does not merely change what you do, it changes who will exist to remember having done it. The same is true of love. To commit to one person is not only to choose them, it is to close the door on every future in which somebody else knows you that intimately. To have children is to lose the life in which you remained completely free of that responsibility. To remain childless is to lose the person parenthood might have forced you to become. Neither life is automatically better. Both cost the other. And of course, not every missing life was yours to choose. Some doors were locked by money, by illness, by duty, by the country printed on your passport, by the family that needed you before you had finished needing yourself. Sometimes the life you wanted was not rejected. It was taken from the menu before you arrived at the restaurant, which, depending on the restaurant, may have saved you 40 minutes of pretending to understand a 14-page menu. But whether a possibility was surrendered, stolen, or simply missed, the mind has a remarkable ability to keep it alive, not as it really would have been, as it should have been. Psychologists call this counterfactual thinking. The mind takes reality, changes one detail, and rebuilds the future from there. If only I had taken that opportunity. If only I had walked away sooner. If only I had known then what I know now. This ability is useful. It helps us learn. You touch fire. Imagine the version of events in which you did not touch fire and develop a groundbreaking new policy regarding fire. The problem begins when counterfactual thinking stops being a teacher and becomes an architect. It starts constructing entire lives, lives in which you made the correct decision, met the right people, avoided the humiliating mistake, and somehow developed excellent cheekbones along the way. And then it asks your real life to compete with them. Your real life cannot win because your real life has mornings. It has bills, repetition, bad moods, laundry, people who chew too loudly. It has the slow discovery that even a dream job contains meetings that should have been emails. Your unlived life has none of this. It exists as a trailer. Only the beautiful scenes survive the edit. You imagine the life in which you move to another country, but not the loneliness of arriving there. You imagine the relationship you might have saved, but not the old arguments returning in slightly different clothes. You imagine the business succeeding, but not the years when your bank account looked like it had entered a period of silent reflection. The life you did not choose is protected from evidence. It can never disappoint you because it never has to happen. That is why it feels so perfect. It has never been touched by reality. And then we invented social media, because apparently imagining our own alternate lives was not exhausting enough. Now you can watch other people performing them. There is the person who moved abroad when you stayed, the person who married when you left, the person who built the company while you chose security, the person who appears to have found inner peace somewhere between a beach in Bali and the purchase of an expensive microphone. Each one seems to represent a life you could have lived, but you are not comparing yourself with one person. You take one person's career, another person's marriage, another person's body, another person's freedom, and somebody else's suspiciously photogenic breakfast. Then your mind combines them into a single imaginary human being and asks why you have failed to become them. You are not losing to anyone. You are losing to a creature built from everyone, and even they are probably miserable on Tuesdays. The Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard understood that choosing creates anxiety because possibility is seductive. Before you choose, you can still imagine becoming almost anything. The musician, the executive, the devoted parent, the mysterious traveler who owns very little and somehow never needs to renew a visa. Possibility lets all of them remain alive. Commitment begins killing them. That is why potential feels so good. Potential cannot be audited. The book you might write cannot receive bad reviews. The company you might start cannot fail. The person you might become has not yet had the opportunity to embarrass you. As long as you never fully choose, you can continue believing that every extraordinary version of you is still waiting. This can feel like freedom, but eventually, possibility becomes an alibi. You say you are keeping your options open. What you are really keeping open is the fantasy that you could still be everything. And no one can be everything. To become someone, you must accept being nobody else. That is the violence hidden inside commitment. Marriage closes doors. Mastery closes doors. Integrity closes doors. Even becoming honest closes the door to the easier life you could have lived by lying. A meaningful life does not preserve every possibility. It sacrifices possibilities in service of something, because a life with every door left open is not freedom. It is a hallway, and no one lives in a hallway. But perhaps you are thinking of a decision that really was wrong. Not merely expensive, not one good path chosen over another. Wrong. You stayed when you should have left. You left when you should have stayed. You protected your pride and lost somebody who mattered. You allowed fear to make a permanent decision on your behalf. Some regrets are not illusions. Some are accurate. The point is not to romanticize every choice simply because it produced the person you are now. Some choices damaged you. Some damaged other people. Wisdom is not pretending the wound was secretly a gift because you found a tasteful quote about growth. Regret has a purpose. It asks the past a question, so the future does not have to repeat the answer. But once the lesson has been extracted, regret often remains in the building long after its shift has ended. It keeps replaying the trial, same evidence, same verdict, same sentence. At some point you have to ask, is this memory still teaching me something? Or is it merely punishing me for being unable to time travel? Those are not the same activity. If the door is still open, act. Send the application. Make the apology. Book the ticket. Begin badly. A life does not become impossible simply because you failed to begin it on the most cinematic date. If the door has changed, adapt. Perhaps you cannot become the person you imagine, but you can recover what that person represented. Adventure, creativity, service, courage. A different route may still lead toward the same value. And if the door is permanently closed, grieve it. Seriously, some futures deserve a funeral, but they do not deserve a daily resurrection. This is where the fantasy becomes dangerous. You can spend so long staring at the lives behind you that you fail to notice another life quietly becoming unavailable. This one, the life you are living now. While you are mourning the person you could have been at 25, the person you could still become at 40 is beginning to disappear. While you are imagining the relationship you should have saved, the people who are still here are learning what it feels like to compete with a ghost. While you are grieving the courage you did not have 10 years ago, you are being offered smaller opportunities to practice courage today and rejecting them because they do not look dramatic enough. The past rarely returns with thunder. Sometimes it returns as the same decision, wearing cheaper clothes. The existentialists insisted that refusing to choose does not release you from responsibility. Waiting is a choice, avoiding is a choice, allowing fear, habit, or somebody else's expectations to decide for you is still a way of deciding. Time is extremely willing to make your choices on your behalf. It has an excellent completion rate. This is the trap. You postpone commitment because choosing one life means losing the others. But postponement does not save them. It loses them more quietly. One day, the doors you were protecting will close themselves, and you will discover that indecision was not a neutral waiting room. It was a road. It simply did not announce where it was taking you. So how do you live with all the people you will never become? You stop asking them to prove that your current life was a mistake. You let them exist as information, not accusation. The artist you never became can remind you that you still need to create. The traveler you abandoned can remind you that your world has become too small. The gentler version of you can still influence the apology you make tomorrow. The dead can advise the living. They just should not govern them. And then you accept the truth that every serious life requires loss. Choose family, and you lose certain freedoms. Choose freedom, and you lose certain forms of belonging. Build something great, and you give away years that could have been spent elsewhere. Protect every spare hour, and you may never discover what years of devotion could have produced. There is no arrangement in which you receive every life without paying for any of them. The goal is not to choose a life with no cost. The goal is to choose a cost worthy of the life it purchases. And now consider something you probably never do. Return to that other version of you, the one who boarded the plane, took the job, stayed with the person, made the brave decision. You have spent years imagining their life from inside your disappointments. But imagine them looking back at yours. On the nights when their foreign apartment feels unbearably quiet, perhaps they imagine the people you stayed close to. When the career you envy begins consuming them, perhaps they imagine your freedom. When the relationship you believe would have saved you becomes difficult in all the ordinary ways, relationships become difficult. Perhaps they wonder about the road you took. They do not see your entire life either. They see the trailer, the best scenes, the avoided pain, the person they might have become if only they had made your decision. To them, you are the unlived life. You are the ghost who appears when their real life becomes heavy. You are the one who got away. There is no perfect timeline standing beside yours. There are only different lives with different wounds, different joys, different funerals, different mornings when the person living them wonders whether another version of themselves somehow got the better deal. You did lose lives when you chose this one. That grief is real, but loss is not proof that you chose wrongly. Loss is proof that the choice mattered. If nothing had to be surrendered, nothing was truly chosen. So do not ask which possible life would have been perfect. None of them. Ask something more useful. What can still be changed? What must finally be mourned? What deserves the remaining years of my commitment? Then choose, not because you are certain. Certainty is often just fear, waiting for evidence that life has never promised to provide. Choose because your time is already choosing for you. The lives you never lived will not disappear. They will walk beside you. Let them, but do not hand them the steering wheel. You do not honor the lives you never lived by grieving them forever. You honor them by finally living the life that cost them their existence.